This is Carl with the three things I'm watching for Wednesday, January the 15th. Sorry about that. Starting out, China soybean needs. China been buying a lot of soybeans from the United States, but they've also been auctioning off a lot of soybeans from their domestic reserves, which are usually almost always U.S. soybeans anyway. But China's starting to show a little bit of concern. Spring coverage. They do not have a lot of, March, April coverage on soybeans for their crushers. Crushers showing a little bit of concern, especially with this big flush of U.S. soybeans, and there's some Brazilian ones headed their way. And before long, Brazil's new crop soybeans will start making their way to China as well. The concern, this will cause delays at Brazilian ports. Customs agents have a real strong tendency to delay imports to manage soybean flow into the country. Is what basically takes place. They claim it's from, China will tell you just about anything to delay imports. But bottom line is, these crushers are expecting anywhere from 25 to 30 day delays on imports. That's usually about what happens. You have a vessel show up, sometimes it sits there a month before it's unloaded. Uh, Using domestic soybeans, they don't have to worry about that. They can buy them out of state reserves. That's why the auctions have been totally selling out. Crushers starting to build their coverage up. I also think we're seeing some build in Chinese demand for soybeans ahead of their Lunar New Year. We're about a month away from that. Mid-February, that kicks off. So expect China to be a little bit more active in the market ahead of that. I wouldn't be too surprised if I didn't see some beef and pork exports perk up a little bit to China ahead of the Lunar New Year too, as well as afterwards. We'll be keeping an eye on this to see how many soybeans Brazil does draw or China does draw out of their reserves. Those have to be refilled with U.S. soybeans. We went through that. You need to store U.S. soybeans, can't store Brazilian beans. So that is a positive outlook for long-term demand for the U.S. there. Second thing I want to talk about, as long as we're on the soybean demand, the NOPA crush report for December expected to come out today, 224.8 million bushels. That would be the second highest on record, down just a little bit from the big crush we had seen earlier in the fall, but a very good number nonetheless. Going to be watching the soy oil stocks in this a little bit more than I am the actual soybean crushing. Soy oil stocks expected to come in around that 1.8, 1.9 billion pounds, up 11.4% from November. So a big jump in soy oil is expected. If that happens, it very well is going to put some pressure on the soy complex. We'll be watching that one. And the third and final thing we got to watch today, the cash markets. Cash markets starting to get a little bit interesting. Gulf basis is getting choppy. River basis getting choppy. Interior basis starting to firm up a little bit here, especially after Monday's USDA reports. Farmers really not willing to make too many sales at today's values. We are seeing some give up selling a little bit, but mostly new crop. Farmers marketing a little bit more new crop than old crop. Just gonna wait and see if values come back right now. Not really in a big urgency to move any cash grain, especially with winter weather coming in. Next 2 weeks could get pretty dicey in that cash market. You may want to do it, but it may be a perfect time to fire them trucks up and move some inventory if you have to. You could see some pretty good basis incentives for some hedged corn here over the next 7 to 10 days. Gonna throw in, we do have a fair amount of reports coming out today. Number one, we get the export sales this morning that will be up to date. CONAB is going to put out their production numbers. And like I said, we'll get a NOPA crush report on soybeans today. So we should get a fair amount of activity coming in. One thing that's missing, we did not get a tariff announcement from the Supreme Court. A little bit disappointing for trade. We'll see if we get one next week. Those are the topics I'm watching today.